Hey there everyone, this is Samuel Johnson and welcome back to the Steven Universe Retrospectives. I apologize if it feels like I'm out of it for this vlog. I'm not really under the weather. I'm just not in a good emotional state right now, so this vlog might be a little bit more lackluster than my other vlogs. So I just wanted to apologize in advance if I don't feel as into it as I am in normal videos. But anyway, today we're going to be discussing episodes 9 and 10 of Steven Universe, Tiger Millionaire and Steven's Lion. And of course, when it comes to plot summaries, let's look at Tiger Millionaire first. And this episode's actually an Amethyst-centered episode. In this case, we learn that Amethyst kind of has a bit of a night hobby, so to speak. Pretty much every night, or most nights at least, she sneaks out of the temple and goes to this, I want to say, rundown auditorium or building or whatever. And pretty much just that at the auditorium, they hold these nightly wrestling matches. And as such, Amethyst goes there to participate under the guise of a wrestler called the Purple Puma, whose whole shtick is that he's supposed to be strong and muscular and just a jerk, and nobody likes that. Nobody likes him, but Amethyst, playing the part rather well, just kind of soaks it all in. Steven ends up finding out about it because he ends up catching her sneaking out one night because he was stuck in the kitchen because he got hit with this weird stuff that Amethyst accidentally got on him that hardened, and they just forgot about him. And he saw her sneaking out through the kitchen where he was stuck. Steven ends up seeing her actually fighting, and Steven being Steven, he's actually like in awe, like, oh my god, you have a secret wrestling career? I want to know more about this. And Amethyst does reveal that this is essentially her way of letting off steam, so to speak, because, well, the thing is, no matter what the thing is, when it comes to day-to-day life, Pearl and Garner are usually always on her back, because as we've established, she's kind of the irresponsible gem. She's the one that's most laid back and doesn't seem to take the job very seriously, and thus whenever she screws up or does something that's not exactly mature, Pearl and Garnet are, of course, the ones just breathing down her neck and saying, you messed up, you gotta take this job seriously, and you need to you're a crystal gem, act like it. And so, this is essentially just Amethyst's way of being a stress reliever. And Steven wants to join. Of course, Amethyst, of course, is a bit reluctant, but she does concede, and so Steven ends up creating his own wrestling persona that he calls Tiger Millionaire. He even gives him a backstory about how he was raised in the jungles and made his fortune by working in the, I want to say, coconut mines. Don't quote me on that. And so, with Steven by her side, Amethyst, as the Purple Puma, enters into the tag team wrestling league. Of course, Steven really doesn't do a lot for the league since this is supposed to be Amethyst's thing, but he does end up helping her out through most of the tag team matches. And when it looks like that the duos they're going up against may have an upper hand, Steven pretty much just Steven just cheats, so to speak. Like, he uses his persona's whole money thing to act like he's on a phone, bribing the other wrestlers, just pretty much just acting the whole thing, and Amethyst actually does appreciate it. But again, like I said, she's the only one that's actually wrestling. Steven's always on the sidelines. However, Steven's jackass millionaire persona does seem to strike a chord with a few people. Well, actually, he gets booed by the majority of people, but Lars seems to like him to the point where Lars was actually one of Tiger Millionaire's fans, and who, for whatever reason, cannot tell that it's Steven under the disguise, even though Sadie keeps pointing it out. However, one night Steven kind of hits his limit when, while he's getting ready for a match, he does his typical Tiger Millionaire thing. Acts like a rich snob, buys all the drinks for the venue, and then just drops them all on the floor and then just stomps them with his galoshes. But when Lars goes up to him to get an autograph, Steven just knocks him aside, knocks him aside, saying, "You can't afford it," and this causes Lars to run away crying, which actually does get to Steven because, well, he doesn't actually mean it. Part of the reason he's been putting up this whole billionaire jackass routine is because, as Amethyst put it, it's all part of the fun. Yeah, everyone hates the Purple Puma, But the Purple Puma is supposed to be a jerk. Same with Tiger Millionaire. And while Steven genuinely liked kind of putting on the act, he didn't really want to hurt anybody. And so when he actually sees that his actions are getting people to actually feel hurt or betrayed or just emotionally, just pretty much just feeling like crap, Steven begins questioning things. And so the next day he actually asks Amethyst about this and thinks and says, maybe, am I like a big jerk here? Am I like a big jerk? And Amethyst just says, listen, Steven, that's just what everyone thinks of you. That doesn't mean that that's how you're actually supposed to feel. That's just what everyone wants you to feel. They want you to feel worthless, but you have to remember your own worth. And when Steven hears her talk about how she feels, everyone wants you to feel worthless, he asks her, is that how you feel? And Amethyst's response is, I feel how I want to feel. Which, I'll talk about that after I'm done with the summary, but pretty much the finals for the matchup for the last of the tag team tournament comes up with Steven and Amethyst versus I forgot their names, the Handsome Bros or something. I forgot their names. Bottom line, they're getting ready to wrestle them, and it looks like it's going to be like a similar routine as with other nights, only for Garnet and Pearl to come in and ruin it. You see, Steven thought that they just needed a little bit of promotion, so he made like a faux poster to advertise the event, and so once Garnet and Pearl saw it, they immediately recognized that the people on the poster were Amethyst and Steven, and immediately just came to put an end to this because, well, Amethyst is a gem. She has abilities that human beings do not, and give her an unfair advantage, and could potentially hurt humans if she's not careful. And so they want her to just stop this now. Everyone goes home. All this is done. But Amethyst is not leaving. And while Pearl does try to be kind of a stern mother, so to speak, just saying you got to stop this. We have to go. Garnet is just as usual stone faced, telling them we're done, we're leaving, go home. And this causes Amethyst to lash out at her, leading to a fight between the two. One that causes a bit of damage to the ring, so to speak. However, before the fight can escalate too far, Steven interjects, grabbing the microphone as essentially he tells Pearl and Garnet why Amethyst does this. That at home she feels misunderstood, out of place, like there's really nothing there for her. And so she comes here every night because she feels that this is a place where she feels accepted, where she can do her thing without feeling ostracized, without feeling like she's just just a burden. That this is just where she feels accepted. And maybe using her powers like this is kind of wrong, but again, she's not hurting anybody. It's all part of the fun, and she kind of does need an outlet. So he does actually ask, can we just have this? And this does actually get to Garnet and Pearl as they decide to go with it, and say, well, they're the International Ring of Wrestler Haters. And so Steven and Amethyst fight them and knock them down. And as a result of this, the Handsome Brothers, or whatever they were called, actually help Steven and Amethyst get the tag team belts. But Amethyst does briefly apologize to Garnet for going as far as she did, and Garnet even apologizes for stepping in and trying to kind of take this away from her. So everything ends all fine, and because Steven advocated for saving wrestling and all that, he gets Lars back as his fan. So happy ending all around. But this also brings us to the second episode, Steven's Lion. In this episode, Steven and the Gems have a mission in the desert. Apparently, in the desert, there's this artifact called the desert glass, so to speak. Essentially, it's a gemstone that's nestled on a pillow. Normally, the gemstone is at the center of this structure or temple that's made entirely out of sand, and the desert glass itself is what keeps the temple in check. It's what actually keeps it up. However, this desert glass has begun to build outside of its parameters. We're building pillars out in the middle of the desert that will spontaneously rise, then collapse, stairs that lead to nowhere, walls for that have no rooms connected to them. Essentially, it's just going to keep building and destroying, and at this point, the Gems think that this thing needs to be taken care of. However, Garnet tells Steven to wait outside while they go deal with it because she doesn't want Steven to get caught in all this. As such, Steven stays outside and just kind of minds his own business, but while he's outside, he has a visitor. In this case, he finds a pink lion that while Steven is initially afraid of, the more he interacts with it, the more he sees that it's sort of tame. It kind of as when Steven actually just goes over to it, it just seems to kind of act like a cat. Like as Steven can puts his hand on his head and is able to pet it. It lies down, just kind of rolls around. Steven is able to nuzzle it. Pretty much, it just acts like a typical house cat. And so Steven just kind of thinks, "Oh my God, I made a new friend," and he's just all overjoyed and happy. But it's at this point when the gems manage to get the desert glass, which causes the entire sand structure to just collapse. However, since Amethyst is the one that got the desert glass, she's the one that has the pillow, and while Pearl and Garnet keep telling her, bubble it and send it to the temple, she's like, no, I'm just going to keep holding on to it, and she just keeps waving it around. Which Pearl and Garnet think this is a bad idea because all it has to do is get back on the sand and it'll rebuild everything, so they kind of want to get this done as ASAP. However, Amethyst refuses to do it and ends up taking it back to the temple with her. And so Steven says goodbye to Lion as he and the rest of the gems go back to the temple. But Lion follows them. Steven ends up naming the lion, so to speak. And Steven at first thinks that it was there for Steven. Because, again, it's supposed to be his friend. But again, as Steven tries interacting with it, it doesn't really seem to care, as again, it seems to be acting like a cat. And even when Steven brings it to a restaurant in Beach City called Fish Stew Pizza, unfortunately, Lion ditches him when he goes inside to try and tell everyone about the lions. Steven is a little agitated. He ends up going back to the temple, which is where Lion is, and he wonders what's going on, before Lion ends up breaking the door to Steven's house down and goes inside. And he immediately turns his attention to the desert glass, which it turns out Amethyst pretty much made it the epicenter of a pillow fort in Steven's house. And it turns out that Lion isn't just your average pink lion, though almost none of them are pink, as he actually has, I'm going to call it a sonic roar, which he uses to destroy the pillow fortress and knock the desert glass aside. Once Steven realizes that the desert glass is what Lion is there for, he gets angry and just says, you know what, fine, you want this, go get it, and then grabs the desert glass and throws it outside. But it's here that I have to remind you that that Steven's house and the temple are located on a beach. So yeah, the instant it hits the sand, it starts building another structure. As such, Steven ends up running outside to try and stop it, but unfortunately the structure builds too much mass, and while the gems tell Steven to stay put, unfortunately he's kind of caught in the middle of everything, and when the gems try going in to get the desert glass, they're kind of caught up in the sandstorm of this thing's construction. As such, Steven tries navigating through the pillars and mazes of this new temple as it's being built to try and get to the desert glass, but unfortunately, there's too much in his way, and he's still too inexperienced with his powers, so he almost falls off the structure, only to be saved by Lion, who comes in and carries Steven on his back. That's when Steven realizes he wasn't just there to take the desert glass, he was there to help. He was there to protect the gems from it. And so Steven and Lion end up working together as Lion's sonic roar is able to destroy a lot of the desert glass's structures, and they're able to get to the desert glass in the middle of it, grab it, and get away from the sand, which once again causes the structure to fall apart. As such, with the desert glass now taken care of, the gems bubble it and send it away. And in the meantime, as for Lion, Steven ultimately manages to, I want to say, talk the gems into letting him keep Lion, although in this case is that Steven decides he wants to keep it and the gems to say, why not? So, yeah, Steven's got a pet lion now, so that's a thing. But, yeah, so what do I think of these episodes? Well, first let's talk about Tiger Millionaire. In the case of Tiger Millionaire, what I think this is episode's biggest strength is that this is a gem-focused episode, specifically the Amethyst angle. While the previous episodes have given us frameworks for each of the Crystal Gems' personalities, we haven't really had any episodes dedicated to them. Again, it's the Steven show through and through, which, to be fair, of course it should be the Steven show. The show is called Steven Universe, so you kind of expect him to be to carry a lot of the focus throughout the episode. And while this episode is more focused on another character, he is mostly present, and is told mostly through his point of view. So yeah, even here he still carries a big part. But in this case, we actually have an episode dedicated to another member of the team that Steven interacts with more. In this case, Amethyst. One of the personality traits we showcase with Amethyst is that she is the slacker of the group. She's the one that's most fun-loving, the one that's most carefree, the one that's the quickest to make a joke about not only the situation but her teammates. And while this can be endearing to watch in certain circumstances, as a member of a superhero team, it can be annoying, especially since if you have a character with that personality all the time, it can make you doubt their own dedication to the mission as well as to the team. Which, yeah, we do see that reflected with Garnet and Pearl. While Amethyst does still typically do her regular antics, Pearl and Garnet aren't exactly willing to humor her, so to speak. As even when is in the beginning of the episode, when the gems return back from that mission and Steven is covered in that weird goop, Amethyst and Pearl and Garnet are giving Amethyst crap because her blowing up this thing that caused it to spread out was ill thought out, was a stupid decision, and just was very just overall dangerous. And yet, but again. And again, Amethyst is just getting upset because again, she didn't know it was going to do that. She just did it because she thought it was the quickest way to get through it. She didn't know about the consequences, and so of course she's just getting angry that Garnet and Pearl are constantly getting on her case about it. As such, to see her kind of do this nightly routine, to have something that no one is constantly getting on her case, yelling at her, telling her you have to be this way, you have to be that way, of course it actually kind of makes sense for her to have this outlet. But what makes it better is that it gives us a window into another side of her personality. Going back to that scene where Steven confided in Amethyst how he thought that they were being jerks. Remember Amethyst's line, how she says, "I only feel how I want to feel"? The way she says it is kind of a very angry reaction. Because, like I said, Amethyst just thinks that all the booing and the hissing is just part of the fun of being the Purple Puma, of being a wrestler. But to have Steven actually ask, "Is this how you feel? Do you always feel like a jerk?" Or feel like you're just worthless or small? And Amethyst's response is, it's just an angry, I only feel what I want to reaction. It makes it clear that it's a nice way of indicating, yeah, she kind of does. It kind of showcases that and kind of gives another reason for why she probably does this. Keep in mind, and honestly, I relate to this a lot. I make mistakes a lot myself. I typically do things without meaning to, or screw up in ways that I wasn't supposed to. That I miss something that I should have done, or or when I go out shopping, I buy the wrong thing, and thus whoever I was buying on the behalf of ends up getting upset because they wanted this thing, yet I got the other thing instead. And so as a result of this, I do feel that sometimes myself. Like, people look at me and just see me as that kind of screw up, as this thing that nobody gives a damn about. That I clearly don't take what I'm doing seriously. That nobody gives a damn what I'm doing. That Sam clearly is not paying attention. That makes me feel. It makes me feel small. It makes me feel like nobody cares. And I see that perfectly reflected in Amethyst here. While she does typically have a carefree attitude to her, she does take the job seriously. While she does screw up, and while she does joke around, that doesn't mean that she is not trying her best. And as a result of this, when she does screw up and her teammates talk down to her and say, you should have known better, you have to take this job more seriously, Amethyst's emotional outbursts and reactions make sense. She didn't mean to do those things. She probably does regret that she did them, and yet people are still getting angry with her, almost as if they think that she doesn't care. And as someone who's experienced this kind of myself, it does feel like a slap in the face. That doesn't mean that she doesn't register the mistake. So that doesn't mean that she wants to constantly be screwing up. It's just that when someone keeps telling you you're being a screw up, you're doing this wrong, it can kind of have a negative impact on you. And we see that reflected in Amethyst here. Throughout the episode, this is just her thing, her way of getting out steam. Here, people boo her because she wants them to boo her. She's not a screw-up here. She's the Purple Puma. She is a big-time wrestler that nobody can match. Even when Steven does try to step in and be her partner, she just tells him, no, step back. This is for me. And as a result, when Garnet and Pearl come in to stop the whole thing, her outburst makes sense. This is the only place that she probably feels like she's in control, that she's not a big screw up or just not having these two breathing down her neck. And yeah, they mean well, but they're coming in and now saying, this is wrong. This thing that you're doing that makes you feel good, it's wrong, knock it off. Of course she would have that emotional reaction. Because this is one of the few places that she feels alive. She feels not unburdened, not chained down by expectations. And so to have them come in and say stop it, of course she would react negatively like how she did against Garnet. I think it makes sense for the episode, and it's a nice window into Amethyst's character. It's one little bit right for now, but it's a good enough way to showcase that underneath that arrogance and laid back attitude, there is someone there that genuinely does care, but is ultimately being burdened by potential insecurities and self-doubt, which I think is good. It's a very interesting start, and it does showcase that these characters are more than just these archetypes. And it does lay the groundwork for future character development, because this is the start of Amethyst's character arc. Each of the crystal gems have their own character arcs throughout the series, and in the case of Amethyst, we see that started here with her having this outlet as the Purple Puma. This is a place where she feels in control, she feels confident about herself, and thus as a result of this, it's a good little way of getting the ball rolling and showcasing there's more to the gems than just what's on the surface. I like that. It's nice. It's good. It's nice. Add on some funny antics and Steven's own little way of treating everything when he dons the Tiger Millionaire persona. And overall, I think it is an actually really good episode that does lay the groundwork for future character development later. And likewise, let's get to Steven's Lion. This one isn't as deep as the Tiger Millionaire episode, but I will still say it's a lot of fun, especially since we get the introduction of Lion. Because after this episode, Lion does become kind of a regular character, so to speak, in Steven Universe. He essentially acts as Steven's pet. And for his first appearance, it is kind of funny, because like with previous episodes, his first appearance here is just kind of here to lay groundwork for future episodes, because like with a lot of stuff in Steven Universe, there's no real explanation for Lion. He's just a pink lion that Steven runs into in the desert, who seems to be magically inclined, as his fur is pink, which is not normal for regular lions. He has a sonic roar, and he seems to be he seems to have a lot more to him than just being a lion, as he follows the gems all the way back to Beach City. And keep in mind, Steven encountered him in the middle of the desert, and knew fully well that the desert glass was dangerous and needed to be taken care of, and thus was there to ensure that things didn't go wrong with it. And then by the end, while the primary mission is to keep the desert glass safe, at the same time, he does follow Steven around, and when they're hanging out, so to speak, his actions are just, like I said, like a house cat. He doesn't really pay Steven much mind. He just kind of looks at him weird, just kind of licks himself, wanders off when he doesn't really want to do something. He scratches the door when he wants to get inside. He just kind of acts like a typical house cat. Which, in a way, is kind of amusing because, again, he's a big pink lion. Though, admittedly, he also looks fluffy, and I want to hug him, so that's a thing. I like that. But again, what I think makes it good is that, again, while he does have the typical traits of a house cat, there is still more to him. Like I said, again, sonic roar, pink fur, but when battle comes, he is ready. When Steven is in danger, he jumps right to his aid and helps him in getting the desert glass away from the sand structures it's building. It's clear there's more to this lion than meets the eye. So I do kind of like that how the episode does it. Again, it's just meant to be here for setup, but for initial introduction, it's cute, it's fun. We just get this initial lion that looks all nice and fluffy and soft. We establish him as Steven's pet, and also further showcase there's clearly more to him than meets the eye. And as a result, we are compelled to want to learn more about the lion, see how he knows about all this, why he is the way he is. It is very interesting, and I do kind of like seeing that, especially when you see Steven growing attached to it. So, again, it's just simple fun that also continues laying groundwork for future episodes. Which, another way, we also get some more groundwork laid for Beach City, as we see Steven visit Fish Stew Pizza, which, again, may not be a lot, but it's, again, another location that comes back later in the series, so, like that. But otherwise, yeah. I think between these two episodes, my favorite would probably be Tiger Millionaire, as I think that had more to it in terms of laying the foundation for future stories. But Steven's Lion, I think, also is just some nice, cute fun with some good action, some mysteries laid for the lion itself, while it's also introducing a cute animal character that people can want to get plushies of. And I know that there are plushies of lion. I have seen them out there, and I want one. It's soft. I like soft. But, so yeah. Otherwise, though, overall, both episodes I think are good. Steven's Lion is just kind of cutesy fun that's nice and lays the groundwork for future stories. And Tiger Millionaire has some nice character stuff with Amethyst, also lays the groundwork for her character arc, showcases the window into something deeper than just the laid-back slacker that we've seen in previous episodes, while also having some nice jokes and action in regards to the whole wrestling thing. So overall, yeah, these are good episodes. Tiger Millionaire is the best between the two, but Steven's Lion is still pretty cute and a lot of fun. So, yeah, that's about it. Thank you for watching. I'm Samuel Johnson, and I'll see you next week when we look at episodes 11 and 12. So, until then, hope you have a good night, and take care.